Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we travel from small towns to big cities to see how Americans are helping their communities. We have an investigation on how Mississippi's capital city lost access to running water this past year. And a lighter look at the game of pickleball to see how that sport is making quite the racket. But first, we introduce you to an Oklahoma nonprofit providing a solid foundation for at-risk youth, one tiny home at a time. Here's Omar Villafranca.
For the first time in her life, 20-year-old Daciana Berry has a steady job. And for the last 2 months, a steady place to call home. Two things that were unthinkable just a few years ago after spending most of her life in Oklahoma's foster care system.
It's very important to me because growing up, I never had anything to myself, I was taken away from my parents when I was like 3 months.
While Berry takes orders, she's getting her life in order with the help of Pivot. The Oklahoma City nonprofit provides young people with a little house to live in as they start their journey into adulthood.
I'm very appreciative of what I have right now, what I was provided with, because I didn't have anything when I first got here. I didn't have any clothes, I didn't have any food, I didn't have, anything, really.
Many of the residents were homeless, like Berry, or aged out of the foster care system at 18. The Little House Project started 4 years ago with 3 cozy cottages. But as the need grew, the program expanded. Now, Pivot has 26 little houses on over 12 acres of land, built with the help of private donations along with state and federal grants. Residents initially pay $100 a month for a home of around 300 square feet with a living space, a kitchen, and a bathroom. Tenants can't have overnight guests and have to keep the place clean. Pivot CEO Jennifer Goodrich says the goal is to get residents ready for the real world in 2 years by helping them find jobs, get counseling, and plan for a better tomorrow.
It's essential because if you don't know where you're going, you can't get there, right? We give them voice and choice, like what do you want it to be? But a lot of times they're not aware of what are the steps to get down that path.
Government data shows nearly 4,000 people sleep on Oklahoma's streets every day. Almost 300 of them are between 18 and 24 years old. Carter Batcher was 16 when he went into foster care, then bounced around shelters when he turned 18. He was the first person to enter Pivot's Little House program.
It was like the whole world was on my shoulders, and finally somebody just kind of lifted it just a little bit, and I could breathe easier. And I wouldn't have to worry about where I was going to sleep that night or if someone was going to steal my stuff. And I could just go to sleep peacefully for the first time in what felt like years.
Berry is learning the basics and building a big future from her little home.
I think this is an opportunity that I don't think anybody should pass up.
Now to another story on America's youth. School bus accidents account for an estimated 17,000 children ending up in the hospital every year. Meg Oliver shows us what one Pennsylvania school district is doing to help solve that problem.
For driver Brenda Shawshaw in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, at each stop, student safety is her top concern.
What do you see? I see people cutting us off. I see people going around the bus, whether the stop sign's out or not.
Passing a school bus flashing red lights is against the law in all states, and yet many drivers don't stop. Now, 120 buses in Shawshaw School District are mounted with cameras, recording every violator's license plate. Videos are forwarded to police to issue a $300 fine.
The times that it is right now, people are more aggressive, less patient.
In neighboring Allentown, during a 47-day study in 2019, cameras on 2 buses recorded 205 illegal stop-arm violations. Nationwide, school buses are passed illegally more than 17 million times a year.
It was a heart-stopping moment.
In 2018, Amber Clark and her daughter Olivia, then in kindergarten, had a close call.
There was a white car that had ran the stop sign and it was barreling towards us, and it didn't look like it was slowing down. I had just enough time to scoop up my daughter and spin. The windshield grazed her backpack.
After the terrifying incident, she successfully lobbied to have a law enacted permitting cameras on bus stop arms.
How does it work?
For Bethlehem Superintendent Joseph Roy, the beauty of the plan is that the cameras are free.
What do you say to the naysayers who say this is just Big Brother overreaching?
Yeah, I've had a couple of emails on that. And I guess my response is, I'm worried about the kids. My job is the kids, and just drive more safely.
Coming up, a CBS News investigation dives into the water crisis in Mississippi's capital city. This is Eye on America. Welcome back. Jackson, Mississippi is home to 150,000 people who were left without clean running water for weeks this past summer. And as Jim Axelrod learned, one decision from a decade ago made matters worse. Here's his investigation on how the city is still struggling to keep clean water flowing.
Our facility had absolutely no water. We were at 0 water pressure.
Sydney Howard manages the Hope Lodge in Jackson, where the American Cancer Society puts up patients at no cost while they're being treated.
When I walked in here to see that gauge was at a 0, it's what do you do?
When the city's water system failed, Howard had to scramble to evacuate 11 cancer patients to facilities where the taps and toilets actually worked.
Did you have 30 seconds to think, what is going on in Jackson, Mississippi, where the Hope Lodge doesn't have water?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm here to take care of lives and save lives.
At the end of August, floods drowned Jackson's aging water treatment plant, crippling the system across the city. Faucets ran with colors you never want to see, and the people of Jackson rushed frantically to find whatever was fresh enough to drink.
We do not have reliable running water at scale.
It was exactly the kind of crisis the city hoped to avert a decade earlier when it made a deal with the Siemens Corporation.
It was ridiculous to even support.
DeKeither Stamps was elected to the Jackson City Council the same year the city signed the contract with Siemens, which he opposed.
What went wrong?
Everything. Everything went wrong.
Siemens came to Jackson with a promise to upgrade the city's water system. The upgrades would generate enough revenue, they said, to make Jackson's water system sustainable for years to come.
All the commercial meters are in stock with the city.
Other cities typically paid for projects like this with a cut of the money saved on the back end. But Jackson agreed to pay the full cost for those promises up front. The city took out a loan for $90 million.
Did Siemens keep those promises?
No.
The biggest piece of the plan, replacing water meters across the city, was also the source of the biggest problem. Thousands of the new meters didn't work.
Some meters measuring in gallons when they were supposed to be measuring in cubic feet.
Meaning people in Jackson were being charged as much as 7.5 times what they should have been. Throw in computer systems that didn't operate as promised.
The bill was more than $11,000.
And people in this largely African-American city with a per capita income of $22,000 were suddenly facing water bills they had no hope of paying.
It's a done deal now, and we the one got to bear the cost.
The city sued Siemens and some subcontractors, alleging in part a massive fraud orchestrated by Siemens that caused more than $450 million in losses to Jackson.
Promise made, promise kept.
The mayor claimed victory when Siemens and the subcontractors settled, even though they did not admit wrongdoing. Siemens essentially paid back the $90 million. The company sent us a short statement saying the agreement settled the issue and the project did not end as either party hoped.
Is it fair to assume that made the city whole?
Oh no, even that was a sham job.
After the law firm took a $30 million cut and tens of millions more went to pay back loans needed to keep the water running, the city did not have nearly enough to fund the much-needed repairs. According to this city audit, Jackson will be paying back millions on the Siemens deal at 6% interest until the year 2040.
Sad. Sometimes I gotta laugh to keep from crying.
There are just lots of problems in the city of Jackson.
Michael Regan runs the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in Washington.
As it relates to Siemens and the water meters and the billing, we understand that that's a part of the problem.
Regan has traveled twice to Jackson in the last month, as he focuses on cities where he says chronic underinvestment has led to infrastructure problems.
How many other Jacksons exist in our country right now?
Dozens, if not more. When you look at the data, Black and brown communities and low-income communities have been disproportionately impacted by environmental hazard and harm because of a lack of investment.
Jackson's water is back up and running again for now. As for solutions, now it's up to the city, the state of Mississippi, and even the federal government to find a way forward. But some estimates put the total price tag for fixing Jackson's water system at $1 billion.
After the break, we take you to a small Texas town coming to the rescue for millions of flying mammals. The small Texas town of Huntsville is attracting quite a bit of attention, giving shelter to more than 1 million bats. Janet Shamlian takes us inside an abandoned warehouse where these winged creatures have made themselves at home.
It doesn't look like a point of interest, but this crumbling warehouse with shattered windows and sprouting trees becomes one as the sun sets in Huntsville, Texas.
It's still way underrated as far as tourist destinations, things to check out.
Tommy Hoke still remembers his first time.
I was blown away. I didn't know what to expect. And then when I saw it, I couldn't believe watching it was amazing.
Oh my goodness! It's a common reaction to the evening show by more than 1 million Mexican free-tailed bats. Emerging en masse for nighttime nourishment from a place they've called home for years, but technically isn't theirs. The bats are a population the Texas State Penitentiary has long wanted gone. It owns the building, effectively the bats' landlord, and has tried to get them to move into these bat houses just 50 feet away. There have been no takers.
They're in direct sunlight for nearly all day, and they're painted black. So they're essentially what some people call bat ovens.
Earlier this year, word came the building would be torn down for safety reasons. The fate of the bats, uncertain.
I was looking at that building knowing what was imminent. It really just convicted me that if I don't do something now, if I don't say something, at least make some sort of an effort, it's something that in hindsight, I will regret for the rest of my life.
Hoke started a Save the Huntsville Bats Facebook page. Thousands joined or made their own pleas. And soon, the prison agreed to hit pause.
Are you a bat guy?
I wasn't, but I am now.
You are?
Yeah.
City Council member Russell Humphrey is part of a group. Local leaders, prison reps, and bat experts working to find the colony a home they will move to. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice tells CBS News, we are taking additional time to ensure community members and advocates are engaged in the discussion.
When you heard that the prison was going to stop demolishing the warehouse, what did you think?
I thought, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe, because I had so many people tell me, it's not going to happen. We like what you're doing. We think that's great. Yeah, we wish we could save it, but it's not going to happen.
For now, the nightly flights continue. The giant roadside statue of Texas General Sam Houston is still Huntsville's most notable landmark. But the bats are gaining ground.
In its gift store, there's recognition of the city's unofficial tourist attraction. You can buy a bat t-shirt, bat cookie cutter, even take home a stuffed bat.
I have been out here probably since May, probably 150 times.
With earlier sunsets, they're harder to see this time of year, especially if you're as blind as well, you know.
It never gets old, and a lot of times it's so rewarding. I'll hear little kids' voices and the excitement in their voice.
Got some kids here tonight.
Yeah, and it's great. I love hearing that.
Children like Adelaide.
Who got this for you?
I picked it up myself.
At 5, already a bat fan.
I love bats, and I think they love me too.
The prison bats, for now, granted a temporary stay.
We close our show from the court. A sport combining tennis, ping pong, and badminton is taking the country by storm. Dana Jacobson gets in on the action to see why pickleball is all the rage.
Southern California's Manhattan Country Club offers members 18 pristine tennis courts. But on a Monday afternoon in late August, we found most of the action on the pickleball courts. Nice! If the sport only recently entered your lexicon, you're not alone.
Oh no! 4 years ago, did you know what pickleball was?
No idea. Never heard of it.
Now, club manager Allie Sullivan says they're building courts wherever they can.
We actually converted 3 of our tennis courts over to pickleball, so we have 6 pickleball courts in place of those tennis courts now.
That was out. Is there still even more demand than what you have room for?
There is. Across the street is one of our clubs in El Segundo, and we actually just converted our basketball court into temporary pickleball, so it's really any space that we can find.
From the club to the bar.
I'm looking around and it's packed already. It's 5:20.
Yeah. Brian Weller helped open PKL in South Boston just 4 months ago.
The community response has been fantastic.
Yeah.
We don't have enough courts.
PKL pairs a premium pickleball experience with food and drinks, an idea Weller and his partners got from their own pandemic pickleball activity.
The first time it was maybe 3 couples, and then the next day it was like 6 couples, and then it was 8 couples, and then the next week it was like, all right, you do the pre-pickleball drinks, I'll do the drinks during.
Course, right. The mantra here, simple. One nation under pickleball.
Is this like the new bowling league?
I personally think so. We have an 8-year-old birthday tomorrow, followed by, a 175-person corporate event, followed by, a mom and dad playing with their 20-year-old daughter and her boyfriend. It's kind of a melting pot of everyone.
Tan Cabra has already been here 5 times, and
my fiance's parents are coming next weekend, and we're already making a reservation for them.
Get out! On the courts at Cheshire Park in Connecticut, pickleball has practically taken over Lynn Cherry's life for the past 4 years.
You got it. So where would you be without pickleball right now?
I honestly don't know.
Whoa, Lynn!
A former volleyball and racquetball player, Cherry stopped playing sports after she tore her ACL.
And once I saw the game and I saw the size of the court, I'm like, even with my bad knees, I think I can do that.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Not only did Cherry start playing pickleball,
you now have 2 books on pickleball out.
She also couldn't stop talking about it.
My eye level is like about where the ball is. So.
Hosting her own podcast, Pickleball Fire, and operating a website that publishes a free magazine. There's even a map that allows you to search for the closest court in your area and a section on instructions.
It's actually a pretty simple game, and it's very similar to tennis.
Since I'd never played, she gave me a quick in-person tutorial.
The ball has to bounce twice. So
once on each side?
Yes.
Okay.
To start the game.
The games are to 11. Points are only won by the person, or in doubles, the team that's serving.
And what's the gray area in the front of the court?
Okay. The gray area is called the kitchen. Okay. You cannot step into that gray area and hit the ball in the air.
With the basics under my belt, it was time to give it a try.
Thank you.
For the very first time. Most players say the court size makes for an intimate social experience.
You're getting it now.
Now the competitor's coming out.
That fosters a friendlier game.
It is fun, isn't it?
It is.
Even when it's competitive. That's how Carol Levine described it when we met her in California playing with her daughter Jenny.
Good game, Mom.
I made a whole new set of friends that I'd never had.
Yeah. Like so many we spoke to, Levine picked up the sport during the pandemic.
I think a lot of people were depressed and didn't know they were depressed.
Yeah.
Did you fall into that sphere?
Yeah. When I got sick, I definitely fell into that.
After being diagnosed with a deadly precancerous illness, Levine says playing pickleball almost became a matter of life and death.
I had over 16 surgeries in 1 year with radiation, and my husband's like, I think you really like it. And I played, and I'm like, wow, this is easy. I can do this. And it just, like, even my doctor said to me, I can tell you're like so much better.
I mean, I heard you say it saved you.
It did save me. I'm in remission, and they didn't think that was going to happen, and I was lucky.
Pickleball is life, the complete guide to feeding your obsession.
Erin McHugh turned her pickleball obsession into a book that touches on everything from etiquette to how to build a DIY court at home.
When you love pickleball, I think you become a little bit of a missionary. You want everybody to play. You want everybody to be as happy as you are.
I'm going to use a scary word. Is there a cult around pickleball, that it's more than just the game itself?
I think so. And you know, it's I have a friend who said, when I get home from playing pickleball, all I can think of is, when am I playing next and with who? And I feel the same way. So is there a cult? Well, I don't think there's an actual church. But I play on Sunday mornings, so that's all I can say.
McHugh is spreading the gospel of the game. She's helped build 2 courts and developed a fitness program for students at our sister school in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And for the masses, there's her book.
Pickleball is life. Why that title?
You know, it is so much fun. And really what I'd like to think about more is, why isn't life more like pickleball? You know, pickleball is easy. You can always get better. Anyone can play. You can teach anybody. It's inexpensive. You get healthy. You meet new friends. What else is there?
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.
Sponsored by United Healthcare Medicare Plans. Get Medicare with more.